Just hold on to the truth. Don't accept a substitute. The dragon's angry and his days are few. He's after me, he's after you.
Greetings, friends. This is Survival Doc. This is the second in a series of videos that I'm doing on the M1 Garand. Here's the Garand that I bought from the Civilian Marksmanship Program. Now, before I get started, I want to give a quick plug to the American Gunsmithing Institute, because this is where I learned everything that I know about working on guns. They make DVDs for various guns. Here's the one for the M1 Garand. If you own an M1 Garand, I think this is something that is a must-have. And if you want to order one of these, you can order them from Amazon.com using the link at the bottom of this video. You can also order them directly from the American Gunsmithing Institute. But I try to get a DVD for each one of the guns that I own. I don't work for the AGI. I don't make any money from these videos, but I just recommend them as a resource that you can use to learn how to take your guns apart and work on your guns. Now, they also make a video on restoring stocks. This video on the M1 Garand does not go over how to restore stocks. It goes over completely disassembling the rifle and taking all the parts and cleaning the parts and reassembling the parts. But it's a fairly simple procedure to restore the wood stock on a rifle, so that's what I'm going to do in this video. This rifle has 3 pieces of wood. This is the main stock. It has a front handguard and it has a rear handguard. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to disassemble this rifle to the point to where I can get the 3 pieces of wood off, and then I'll go through the procedure for restoring this wood. Now, this rifle was made in 1943. This rifle is almost 70 years old. So I don't expect or even desire to make this rifle look brand new. But as you can see, the wood is saturated with oil, it's darkened, has a lot of gouges and nicks in it that I'm not going to remove all of these, but I'm going to clean it up, remove all this oil, and just make it look as best I can, not worrying about getting all the gouges or all the nicks out. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is field strip my Garand. I want to check and double check, make sure that it is not loaded. Pull the trigger guard down, pull the trigger group out, and lower the rear sight all the way so that it isn't damaged when I place the Garand on the table upside down. Tap the front sight, and the receiver will fall right out of the stock. Now, I'm going to get this down to the bare wood because I'm going to restore the wood. So I'm going to have to remove all this metal. All right, in the buttstock of a Garand is a trap door with 2 little compartments for storing your cleaning supplies. And this is a cleaning kit that is made especially for the Garand. Now, this kit did not come with the Garand, but you can order them from the CMP, and you can also order them online. I actually ordered mine from Amazon.com. Here's a little container of grease. Here's a little tool that you use to work on your Garand with. So this is actually the handle for your cleaning rod with the swivel in it. And on the end is a little screwdriver-like device, a special tool for removing the gas cylinder lock from the rifle. But for right now, what I'm going to do is take the metal off of this stock. I need a screwdriver. Now, there are 2 screws back here. This one, the top one here, is just a wood screw. The bottom screw is a machine screw that goes through the stock and screws into the swivel for the rear sling swivel. So this is a longer screw. I'm at an awkward position here for the benefit of the camera. Okay, this comes out and then the rear sling swivel slides right out. And the butt plate comes off. There's the trap door. Okay, I've removed all the metal from the rear. Now I will remove the front sling swivel. And to do that, this is just wedged on the stock. So you can just work that loose with the screwdriver, and then that comes right off. Alright, now my stock is down to nothing but the wood. All the metal has been removed. Okay, now I have two more pieces of wood to remove, the front hand guard and the rear hand guard. Alright, here I will use the handy little tool that was hidden in the buttstock of the rifle. And this is the tool that you use to remove the gas cylinder lock screw valve. Just unscrew that, take out the gas cylinder lock screw valve. Then you can just unscrew the gas cylinder lock. It just unscrews right off the barrel. Then you can slide off the gas cylinder, and then you just slide off the front hand guard. Alright, now this has a metal spacer right in here, and it has this end piece right here. Alright, to get this off, what I'll have to do is pry up these two tabs right here. I'll pry these up. Okay, here are the tabs that I was talking about. You don't want to pry these up because you will damage the wood. At this end, you want to pry these up because then you're prying against the metal. Okay, then what I will do is I will grab a hold with a pair of pliers, bend these back, pinch them in a little bit, and there it is. Okay, now I have removed all the metal from the front handguard. I've got it down to the bare wood. Now the only piece of wood left to remove is the rear handguard. Alright, I'll want to remove this piece right here To do that, I will need to drive out a pin right here. This pin right here, then you can just pull off this piece. I was finally able to get this band off using pliers like this. I borrowed them from a friend of mine, so I'm going to return this to the store, so I'm not going to open this because I was able to borrow a pair. These are actually used for installing snap rings. They're called snap ring pliers, but putting the snap ring pliers in these two holes here, I was able to expand this and pop this band off. So now we're down to the wood with all the metal removed. There's the fore handguard, the rear handguard, and the stock. And now I'm going to remove the oil and the grime and the dirt from this stock. Before I do, we'll take one more close look at it. See the condition it's in. This is before, and we'll take a look at a picture of after. This rifle is 70 years old almost, and although they frequently reworked these rifles and reissued them, so this quite possibly is not the original stock that came with it, but still, this stock certainly has seen some years, and I don't expect, nor even do I desire, to return this stock to a pristine brand new condition, because this rifle is a collector's item and I'd like to keep it original as much as possible, although I do plan on getting the grime and the oil out of the stock. Okay, I'm now going to use boiling water and a degreaser to clean the grease and dirt and grime off of this stock. What I have here is a 16-gallon pan. This pan is actually used to mix up mortar and concrete and stuff like that. And this is a perfect size because, as you can see, it's perfect size for the stock, which is 29.5 inches long. Now this can be done in a bathtub, but not nearly as efficiently because the bathtub will require a lot more hot water to cover the rifle parts. And I've calculated that it will take approximately 4 gallons of boiling water to cover this wood completely. So over here I have a pan with water, have 4 gallons of water over here, and it's already boiling. So now I'm going to get started. I'm going to use a product I like called Simple Green. It's a concentrated all-purpose cleaner and degreaser. I use this to degrease my gun parts, my metal parts, and just going to spray down the stock with the degreaser, Simple Green. This stuff is also very gentle on your hands, unlike some degreasers. Spray down all the wood. Okay, now I'm going to pour in the boiling water. I'm going to completely cover this wood with boiling water, and I'm going to let it sit in the boiling water until the water cools off enough for me to handle it. I can turn off the gas now. This water is at a rolling boil. I'm going to start by ladling the water in there because this is too much water to safely lift. Okay, I think I can pour the rest in now. Every now and then I'll turn it over. Make sure all the parts get boiled. See, 4 gallons is just enough to completely cover the stock. I'm going to cover it with a tablecloth just to help hold the steam in. This isn't necessary, but what it will do is it'll hold the steam in, which will keep it hot for a little bit longer, making sure that the rifle gets completely steamed. And then in a few minutes I'll turn the parts over on the other side, make sure it all gets evenly boiled and steamed. What I have here is a very soft brush. This is actually a brush for cleaning mushrooms. That's how soft it is. I don't want to use a stiff brush because I don't want to create gouges in the wood, but this will just help remove some of the grime and dirt. What the hot water will also do is the moisture will get in the wood and it will expand the wood and it'll push out a lot of the little dents. It won't help the gouges where the wood fiber is actually split, but it will raise up the dents where the fibers are not split but they're just dented in a little bit. It looks like there's still going to be a lot of grease and grime in this rifle, so I've decided that I'm going to do this entire process again, and I'm boiling another 4 gallons of water over here while I'm doing this, and I'm going to go ahead and spray this down again with the grease cleaner. soak in a little bit. This is what the rifle stock looks like after the first bath. Now I've been using a soft toothbrush to clean out here in the crevices on the inside here. I also decided to weigh the rifle down, put a t-shirt on top of it and put a weight on it to hold it under the water. And you want to turn it frequently because what you don't want is you don't want water lines on your rifle. So now I'm getting ready to pour in the boiling water again. This is the second boiling water bath for this stock. As you can see, I decided to weight it down in order to hold it underwater. This is just an old t-shirt and a piece of steel here. And I still will turn it over every few minutes, or every 20, 30 minutes or so to make sure it doesn't get any watermarks on it. It's beginning to look clean. I think this will probably be sufficient. Let that steep a little while longer, as long as the water continues to be hot. Okay, after 2 boiling water baths, this is what the stock looks like. Now what I'm going to do, I've allowed it to dry for a couple of days. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Formby's liquid cleansing solution. Formby's cleansing liquid is what it's called. And this is a wood cleanser. And I don't want to continue boiling it because at this point I don't want to dry the wood out any more than I already have with 2 boiling water baths. But I want to start restoring. This contains oils, and as it cleanses, as it continues to cleanse the oil and grime that's deep down in the grain of the wood, it will also begin replenishing some of the oils that were lost in the boiling process. Boiling water does, of course, have a tendency to dry out wood. It has a tendency to remove the oils. So I really shouldn't have boiled this small piece right here, because the wood is so thin. It really wasn't necessary to boil this one twice. I should have just boiled it one time. It did get a little bit dried out. It's a little bleached looking here. Now I will use the walnut stain to darken this and make it match. But what I did is I have added, because the wood is dried out some. This is an old rifle, of course, very old stock anyway. This wood's old. So I add a little lemon oil. Lemon oil replaces the natural oils that are lost from wood. And I mainly put it on the inside of the stock just so it would kind of soak into the wood from the inside and not interfere too much with what I'm going to be doing when I'm finishing the outside. I put, this piece right here is particularly dried out. I put a lot of lemon oil right in here. And this wood just soaked it up like a sponge, of course. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start working on the outside. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to fill in the imperfections in the wood, like little nicks. Now the dents have already been taken care of by the boiling water. The boiling water expanded the wood and pushed the dents out. If you don't boil your stock, you can remove it by putting a wet towel on it and then using a steam iron to heat the wood, and the moisture gets in the wood and it expands and it forces the dents up. So my stock doesn't have dents anymore, but that process doesn't help gouges, because with gouges the grain of the wood is split. With dents, the grain of the wood is still intact, and so when it expands it can push it out, but gouges it can't. So I'm going to fill in the imperfections of the wood. Right here you notice little knot holes. This is a technique you can use for filling in these little knot holes and for these gouges like that. And I'm going to do this process as I am doing the initial sanding of the stock. I'm going to be using 220 grit, very fine 220 grain sandpaper. I'm going to be using shellac, and what I will do is I will use something like a toothpick, dip it in the shellac, and I will fill in these little gouges with shellac. And like these little knot holes, I'll put just a tiny bit of shellac in these little knot holes. Then I'll take my sandpaper and I'll start sanding this. And what will happen is the powder, the wood powder from the sandpaper, will fill in these holes, stick to the shellac, and it may take a couple of times before it fills it in completely and makes it smooth, but I will just continue this processing as I'm sanding with the 220 grit sandpaper. This is the process I'll be using in order to fill in the imperfections of the wood as I'm sanding.
Just hold on to the truth. Don't accept a substitute. The dragon's angry and his days are few. He's after me, he's after you. So confusing, can you resist him? He brought angels crashing down. Just keep your mind on